Hi, Lee, Hy-Vee dietitian, here today to talk to you about fall freezer meal recipes. I love freezer meal recipes because it makes it so easy to have a healthy meal on the table. Fall is a really busy time of year for our family, and I'm sure it is for a lot of you guys as well. So hopefully you can take some of these ideas, do a little bit of meal prep to make your evenings a whole lot easier. I picked 4 different recipes today. We're going to be making a chicken taco soup. We're going to be making chicken cacciatore. Both of these recipes we're going to be making first are crock pot meals, which I love even more. So we're going to do the prep work. I'll show you how quick that is. And then all you'll have to do to actually prepare these is pull them out, stick them in the crock pot. We're also going to be making a cauliflower tater tot casserole, as well as chocolate chip pumpkin muffins. So whenever you're doing freezer, and you're gonna have to bear with my voice, I've had laryngitis, allergies, and so it's just coming back to me, so I'm hoping it hangs in here for us. But whenever you're doing freezer meal prep, a couple things you'll always want to start with are several different sizes of Ziploc bags, and that's just to keep everything organized, because whenever you're meal prepping or freezer meal prepping, you want to keep everything together so you don't lose things in your freezer and then you're missing parts of your meal. So I always like to get these 2-gallon freezer bags so that everything for my meal can go in there. I also use the gallon size a lot just because that's a good size for meat, and you'll see that I use that today. In addition to having a Sharpie so you can label everything so it can stay together, I also like to print off my recipe sheet because this is what's going to be attached to your handout for you, but this is what I'll actually fold up and tuck right in my freezer meal bag. So when I pull this out to prep it, I have the recipe there. I'm not digging and searching for something else. It's all there with you. So the one we're going to be starting with is our chicken taco soup. So for this recipe, you're going to need a pound of chicken breast, Siete taco seasoning. I got the spicy. The reason I got spicy is because a lot of my other ingredients are salt-free, so we need to boost up that flavor. I got the shortcut so I don't have to cut anything for the bell peppers, as well as the white onions. We needed some vegetable broth, pinto beans and black beans, no salt added for those, some green enchilada sauce, as well as some diced tomato with green chilies. This is no salt added as well. Which a lot of people don't know that they make this. It's kind of like Rotel essentially, but it's the no salt added Rotel. You're gonna need some cumin and some garlic. So all you're gonna need to do to meal prep this is start with your gallon size Ziploc. Again, I'm gonna start by labeling it. So this is our chicken taco soup. All right, so then from there, we'll want to add our first ingredients. We're not going to put everything together into one bag. We're gonna have 2 separate bags going here. So for our first bag, we are going to need our chicken. All right, so I have 2 chicken breasts in here. They'll both go into the bag, and now I'm gonna wash my hand real quick. All right, then we're going to need our taco seasoning. Again, that goes right in the bag. Now, this is going in the freezer, and as it's thawing in the refrigerator, the nice thing about it is it will start to kind of marinate that chicken. I really like this Siete. This is a family-owned business. It's gluten-free, it's paleo-friendly. It's not salt-free like the Mrs. Dash products, but it is lower sodium, so. All right, so we have that in there. Then we're going to add our, where is it? Our enchilada. Yes, we're going to add next our enchilada sauce. I thought I opened, I guess I did it here. I'm gonna get this opened real quick. Now, I actually picked up, by accident here, green enchilada sauce. That's like 28 ounces. Well, we don't need all of that. We only need 15 ounces, 15 ounce, which is like a typical size jar of enchilada sauce. So I'm not going to pour all of it in there. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. But normally you would just add the entire can. I'm hoping I don't make a mess here. That looks just about like half. All right, so here we have that. So we have our chicken taco seasoning and our enchilada sauce all in there. We are going to add the bell pepper now. So you can add whatever kind of bell peppers you like. I kind of like using just the medley because that's also what's available for the shortcuts, which I really appreciate as well. But you're gonna need half a cup of peppers as well as half a cup of onion. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop out these pre-cut shortcuts. And again, you could absolutely cut them yourself, which would be fine as well. Now for our next meal prep recipe, we're going to be using those two. So I'm gonna set those right over there. And then the same thing for this. You know, the other thing I've done for this recipe is in the freezer section, they have freezer bell peppers that are pre-chopped, and those are really convenient as well. All right, so we'll move that on over. So this is our first bag that is all ready to go, and we're going to zip it up. Try to get as much of that air out as possible, and that makes it easier to store as well as prevents freezer burn. Okay, so that is part one. Now we're going to bag up the second part of our ingredients. So I'm going to get another bag. And I'll label this one as well because again, if by chance they got separated in the freezer, we'd want to be able to find both. So this is chicken taco soup. All right, so now we're basically going to add the rest of our ingredients here. So this is where you could add your black beans. These are drained, so I already did that for us. Now, if you really like black beans and you don't really care for pinto beans, you could always do 2 jars of black beans. The other thing is, if you are vegetarian, this is a very simple recipe to make vegetarian because we are getting that plant-based protein from the beans. We're gonna add our tomatoes. We are going to use some garlic. You can mince this yourself, or I'm going to use this pre-minced garlic. We need 1 teaspoon of that. And that goes in there. Next up, we need cumin, which I love cumin, so I usually always add extra of that. Only calls for 1 teaspoon, but I think I might use 2. This one isn't opened yet. There we go. All right. I'm gonna put a little extra. Okay. So this is it. Last thing we have to add here is our vegetable broth. We're gonna use 3 cups of that. This is a 4-cup container. So again, I'm gonna kind of eyeball this and use 3/4 of this. All right, and that's about good. Same as what we did over here for our other one. I am now going to kind of get most of the air out of this so that I can store it easier. And there we go. Now to keep my entire meal together for this chicken taco soup, now I'm gonna get out the 2-gallon bag and put them all together into that. So what I typically do at this point is I would label this 2-gallon bag so I know exactly what recipe I have in here, and also the date that I made it. And then this whole thing would go into your freezer. So when you're ready then to cook this meal, at the beginning of the week, you could kind of think out, okay, well maybe you want to have this on Wednesday. So you want to get this out 24 to 48 hours in advance and just put it in your refrigerator and let it thaw in there. And then the morning you're going to make it, you want to put it in your crock pot. Both bags, just dump them in your crock pot on low for about 6 hours. You could do it on high for 2 to 3 hours. So just as a reminder again, your instruction sheet would go right in that bag with the soups. And once you know if you like a dish, this is when it's really easy to prep a couple at a time. So how much easier would it have been to just make like 3 freezer meals of this chicken taco soup if you already know you like it? The first time you're trying it, I probably wouldn't suggest doing that, but for the future, if it was one your family went for. So, all right, so that's our first one. Next up, we are going to make our second freezer meal prep recipe, and this is also a crock pot meal. So this is very similar to what we've done over here, but this is the chicken cacciatore. So we're gonna start with our 1 gallon size freezer meal bag once again. Oh, I just spilled something on there. Okay. Similar to before, we're just going to layer things into our bag. The only difference with this recipe is we don't need 2 bags, so everything is gonna go into 1 bag. So we'll start with our chicken. For this recipe, we're gonna need chicken, bell peppers, onions. We're going to need some diced tomatoes, the Italian style, as well as tomato sauce, Italian seasoning, and basil leaves. All right. Should have done all this at once, but I didn't really think. So I'm gonna wash my hand again. All right. And now we're gonna layer in the rest of our ingredients. So we'll need 1/2 cup of chopped onion as well as 1/2 cup of pepper. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before and use my onion once again. And that goes in. Next up, our pepper will go in. Once again, you could use whatever color peppers you would like. Now, your bell peppers are a really great source of vitamin C too. So heading into cold and flu season, we want to boost up our immunity with that vitamin C, which I could actually use right now. So maybe I should have some peppers. Next, we're going to add our diced tomatoes. And they go right in. We're going to add our tomato sauce. And that goes. And then we're going to add our seasonings, which I got the pepper. Dang it. Okay, so we're gonna need some black pepper as well as oregano and basil. So you're gonna need about 1/2 teaspoon of each of these. The black pepper, you could do to taste. Now, the tomato products we use for the chicken cacciatore were not salt-free, so do keep that in mind as well. However, all of the seasonings we're using don't have any sodium in them. Okay, so we're gonna use our oregano here. And then we'll get some basil. Now, my basil, I usually plant basil every year in my garden, and you can actually dry that in your oven. If you trim off all the leaves and kind of give it a rough chop and put it in the oven and just kind of keep a close watch on it, you can actually make your own dried basil, put it on really low heat, and then you'll be able to use that throughout the year too. So if you still have some from your garden, I would suggest kind of giving that a try. All right, so get all the air out of this as well. And this is the base. So the same thing as what we're doing with this is also gonna go in your crock pot. When you're ready to cook this, you wanna get it out, again, about 24, 48 hours in advance, let it thaw in the refrigerator, then put it in your crock pot 6 hours on low before you wanna eat it. Now, right before this is ready, you'll need to boil your pasta because this is gonna be the sauce and the chicken that will go over your pasta. So this is another example of where that Sharpie comes in handy, is you want to label chicken cacciatore and you want to label your pasta chicken cacciatore, because if you went to make spaghetti one day and used all your angel hair pasta, you'd be in trouble when you went to make this. The only other thing I would mention is whenever you're picking out your pasta, you'll notice that I got the whole wheat here today, which is going to be higher in fiber, which is a lot more filling. There's a lot of other pasta varieties out there now too, things like chickpea pasta and lentil pasta, and these are also great options. Some of those are even higher in protein, which would also be a good option for you. So we've made 2 meals so far. These are both ready to go straight into the freezer. I'm gonna get this stuff put away, and then we will make our cauliflower tater tot casserole as well as our chocolate chip pumpkin muffins. Hi, back again, and now we're gonna make our last two freezer meal recipes. The next one we're gonna be making is called cauliflower tater tot casserole, and this is one that I actually had never heard of before. I would say a couple years ago, and then I started having several patients coming in, like one after another, saying that their family loved these tater tot casserole recipes and they were so good, but they weren't healthy. So this one is going to be just a little bit healthier, and also freezer meal, which I love that about it too. Hopefully a family-friendly hit. So what we're going to need for this is you're going to need some shredded cheese, some cauliflower tater tots. You could also get like the broccoli tots if you prefer those. You're going to get the Fairlife skim milk, the healthy recipe cream of mushroom soup. There's also a gluten-free option in the health market if you need that. And then some no salt added green beans, which I forgot to open those. Some black pepper, some garlic powder, which isn't going to contain salt. And then I got 96.4 ground beef, which I've been browning over here, so that is actually already cooking. And that's really it. So to get this recipe going, you're gonna need to go ahead and cook your ground beef, which we have done here. You could swap this out for like ground chicken if you wanted to, or even doing something else like maybe ground turkey would also work. But then once you cook that, you're going to actually put this into your freezer bag. Now this is a gallon-sized bag that we're starting with here. And then we're going to be adding to this bag. Now this is not a crock pot meal. So instead of pulling this out when you're ready to cook it and putting it in your crock pot, you're going to actually pull this bag out, spray a 9x13 pan, and put your casserole, basically assemble your casserole in the pan. Okay, so here we have our ground beef. Now we're going to mix up the rest of what will go into this bag. I'm going to get this out of the way for just a second. Okay, so into our bowl to mix everything up here, we are going to combine our milk, which we need 1 cup of milk. Remember, the Fairlife is going to be lactose-free. It's going to have all of that protein that we want, but the carbohydrates are going to be just a little bit lower, which is nice. We are going to put our cream of mushroom soup. Have to get a spoon for that. So that will go into our bowl. Again, there is a gluten-free option for this in the health market if you're interested in that. Okay. We have our ground beef. I got that in the bag for us. We put our milk as well as our cream of mushroom soup in here. We're mixing that up. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper to this, as well as some garlic powder. Remember, anything that says powder on it does not have any salt in it. This is half a teaspoon goes into there. All right, we're gonna stir this up. All right. Now I'm going to actually pour that right into this same gallon bag here over the top. And this is going to be kind of the middle part of our casserole that we're making. And then to that, we're gonna add green beans. If you have picky people in your family who don't like things like vegetables that they can see, you could always like chop these up really finely, but I'm just gonna add those. They have been drained. And that is our casserole. So at this point, what we would do to finish up this recipe is get our jumbo 2-gallon bag. Into that goes this, our shredded cheese, as well as our cauliflower tots. Here is our entire meal ready to go in this bag. You also slip your recipe sheet into that bag as well. Now I'm just going to tell you, when you are ready to make this, you're going to get out your 9x13 pan. You're going to spray it out with some cooking spray. Let this thaw for 24 hours. Everything but your cauliflower tots. You want to leave those in the freezer to the last second. But you'll let this thaw, and then you'll just simply dump this into your 9x13 casserole. That's it. You're gonna put some cheese on top, and then you'll pull these out of the freezer last thing and put that on top as well. You're gonna cook it at 350, and then takes, gosh, I mean, like about 30 minutes to cook in the oven. So super simple, really good too. My kids all really liked it. And so there we go, your entire dinner in a bag. The other thing I wanted to point out that I forgot to mention a few minutes ago is that when it comes to like the freezer meal, sometimes it's nice to have some green sides that you can put in with it. And when we're doing freezer meal prep, it's a little bit harder to pull in some of the fresh stuff all the time because, again, you're planning this in advance. And so I really like some of these oven roasters. They have like some different flavors. Like this is a zesty ranch broccoli. These are oven roasters, Parmesan, peppercorn, cauliflower. By all means, you can do fresh stuff, you know, if you're at the store and can grab that. But I sometimes have a few of these tucked in the freezer, as well as like steamer bags. So I could just add them to a meal if I wanted one more vegetable. All right, so there is another dinner ready to go. So now we've made 3. And our last thing we're gonna be making is a breakfast/snack option. This is also very seasonal. It is a pumpkin chocolate chip muffin. I love these because it does make a quick breakfast or snack, especially because we're adding protein powder, which I love adding to kind of like a more heavy carb type of dish or baked good. Okay, so for this recipe, we need some whole wheat flour, which I already have in the bowl for us. This is 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour. We need some baking soda, baking powder, semi-sweet chocolate chips, as well as some brown sugar. You need some vanilla protein powder, 2 eggs, pumpkin puree, some canola oil, cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. So we're gonna mix all of our dry ingredients first, which we're starting with our 1.5 cups of flour. To that, I'm gonna add our baking powder. We're gonna add our baking soda. We're going to do 1/2 cup of our vanilla protein powder. I'm using to tone it up right now. Got this at Hy-Vee. I just had it on hand, to be honest with you. It's a plant-based protein powder, but you can use whatever you'd like. I don't know if my measuring cup will fit in here, but I'm probably gonna just dump it here. And a little more here. All right, so there we have 1/2 cup goes in. Now, when you are doing freezer meal prep for baked goods, you can actually do these a couple different ways. The way I think it works best is to actually bake off your muffins and then freeze them. You can freeze batter, but I just sometimes think when you unfreeze it, it doesn't always come out quite like I would like it to. So I usually bake the whole thing off and then go from there. Okay, so we're also gonna add our cinnamon here. So we need 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. I have a 1/2 teaspoon measure here, so I'm gonna do 3 of those. Need a 1/2 teaspoon of our nutmeg. All right, and then we are going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of our ginger. Doesn't want to come out. There we go. All right, so here's our dry ingredients. Oh, and then we also need to add in our brown sugar, which to double check how much we use of that. Half a cup of brown sugar. Sometimes I like go a little shy on the sugar in muffins, but this doesn't really call for much sugar, so I'm probably just gonna use all of it. Remember to pack your brown sugar whenever you're adding that. Okay, so we're gonna give this a little stir and then we'll mix up all of our wet ingredients. So the nice thing about these muffins is we are getting a lot of nutrients with them, because not only did we add that plant-based protein powder to them, we're also adding pumpkin, which is loaded with good stuff, tons and tons of fiber. So there's 4 grams of fiber. All of this is soluble fiber too, which there's soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is actually very helpful in lowering cholesterol. It's good for our heart. We are going to use 1 cup of this. One cup of this. How much is in here actually? Get out my 1 cup measure. Right. Now you also could do like squash or something else. And you know, you can make fresh pumpkin puree. When you're carving pumpkins around Halloween, you could make your own pumpkin puree and freeze little bags of that, which is also kind of fun. Okay, so here we have the pumpkin. We're gonna add our eggs to that. And then we will give that a little bit of a stir. Then we're gonna add our oil and our water. And we're gonna just do a 1/4 cup of each. Now, whenever we're mixing these muffins, we just barely wanna do it to combine them. We don't wanna overmix. Now, I'm using canola oil here today. This is the Smart Balance, which is one of my faves. If I could get this little top bit off. Goodness. I tell you, I've been struggling today. I got it, okay. Thought I was gonna have to stop the video again. All right, here we go. 1/4 cup. And give this a stir. Once you have this combined, we're gonna mix our wet with our dry ingredients. So we'll do that now. Now we'll stir all of this up. This is when you don't want to overmix. So as soon as everything is combined, we're gonna call it good and add in our chocolate chips. Again, this is to taste. You don't have to add the chocolate chips. Just kind of, most people like them though. This batter is going to be relatively dry. All right. We're going to put some of the chocolate chips in there now, which 1/2 cup is all we need of those. This is even a little drier actually than when I made it last time, which just double checking I got, yeah, I did all the measurements right. All right, so 1/2 cup goes in. We're gonna stir the chocolate chips in. All right, And then last but not least, we will put it in our muffin cup. Now I've already sprayed these, but all we're gonna do here is fill these about, I would say half to 3/4 full. And see how dry this batter is too. But they cook up nice, so. And again, they're very filling because it's that combined protein, plus we're getting all that fiber from the whole wheat flour as well as from the pumpkin. So I'm gonna finish filling the muffin tins, and then I'm gonna pop those into the oven at 350. They only take about 15 to 18 minutes to cook. And then once they come out, that's when I'm gonna let them cool down completely. So it's really important to let them cool all the way before you put them in the freezer. And then once again, I'm going to use my gallon-sized Ziploc, and I'll just tuck all of those in, sitting in their little muffin cup into the freezer bag. And so I can pull out, a batch of 6 to 8 for the week. And those are gonna be good in your freezer for a month or two. So hopefully you have 4 new ideas of things that you can make, 3 dinners, and then 1 breakfast or snack option that are all gonna be really quick and really easy things that you could do ahead of time so you have a healthy meal ready to go in the evening. As always, your Hy-Vee dietitians are here to make your lives easier, healthier, and happier. Thank you for joining me today.